Hi, Colleen. Awesome. Hello. I hope everything's working. You can hear me. Um, can you hear me? Can you hear me? There's only a few people on. A lot of people did sign up, so we'll see how many people show up live. You know, it's better when you show up live for the webinar because then you can ask me questions at the end. Any questions you want? Hi, Jean. So any questions that you want to ask me, keep them for the end, and I'll look to see. Great, thank you, Brooke. I'll look to see if I didn't answer them, and we can go over them because I'm going to be going through a nice PowerPoint, and I won't be able to go back and forth if you have questions during that whole process. My name is Jamie, which you already know. I'm going to get right into the info, but just to introduce myself, I know Colleen knows me, and say if you can stick through the whole webinar and get to that Q&A at the end, and there's some information at the end that you'll probably want to know about. So stick with me because we're going to go through that PowerPoint, and then I'm going to actually show you some editing. So if you had time and you saw the email to sign up for a free account on PicMonkey, not the free account, but the actual trial, it's PicMonkey, PICMONKEY. And that is an online editor that's very helpful and useful. And we're going to take a look at that and go over some terminology, and then probably look at transferring the difference between Photoshop and PicMonkey, and where you can see the similarities between pretty much any editor that you're ever going to find. My lips look orange. I just got a new webcam. The color's really interesting. Really sure. So yes, I'm Jamie. I'm the creator of Fame Compass. Colleen knows me as a yoga teacher. I'm also a Kundalini yoga teacher and actress, a musician, a DJ, and a bunch of other fun stuff. I've been working in marketing and branding for a number of years. I just redesigned the International Kundalini Yoga Teachers Association, which is a worldwide organization website. I coach a lot of clients. I just finished a great Awakened Heart Parenting website and coaching. So I've been doing this stuff for years. I went to art school. I really love it. I love helping people with this information because really social media is the best tool that you have to market yourself. And the interesting thing is because we think of it as more of a personal thing, there is sometimes a block or a little bit to get through to think of it as a professional tool. And if you look at the news, there maybe are some examples of people that don't use it in the most professional way. No names mentioned here, but you really want to think about it because people have gotten fired over what they've typed on social media. But it's really an amazing tool that you have. And, you know, a lot of people will just do things and not really have a strategy, and they'll be wasting time. And like, you don't really want to do that because there's enough tools out there. There's enough information. It is a professional tool where if you learn certain things, then it'll make everything a lot easier for you and quicker for you and less stressful. And it's fun. You want to keep it fun, but I pretty much use it to get all my clients. That's where most of my clients come from. They'll see my work there, or they join the Facebook group, and it's great. I make all of my income based off that because yoga teaching is great, but it's not paying my bills right now. Neither is my mantra album, but I love that stuff. So I'm going to go into the PowerPoint, and I'm missing anything in the intro? I don't think so. We have a lot to cover. I'm going to try and cover as much as I can. The last webinar I did, I actually went over like 15 minutes. It's just a lot. So if you want to take notes, I definitely recommend that you take notes. And, if there's any questions on material, I'll try to get to at the end, or then you can always, just go to the Facebook group if you're not a member, join it. And you can post stuff you're working on anytime, and I will respond to it and people will look at it. And I'm really trying to grow that as a forum for people to support each other and post things that they're working on and get feedback. Because if you're working on something, especially graphically, this creating really beautiful graphics is, I think a lot of people have blocks to it. They don't think they can, and they think that it's a very like, oh, I had to go to art school to do this, or I'm not creative and I can't do this. But it's really just about knowing a couple techniques that you like that creates the kind of stuff that you have, that you want to create and keep continuity with, and using that over and over again. So it's like learning anything else that you can absolutely do. And everybody is creative. In my mind, I think everyone's creative. So it's a marriage of your ideas with technical skills. And I mean, pretty much everyone has technical skills. Cooking is a technical skill. It's very similar to cooking. You're just putting a little bit of this and a little bit of that to get the results that you want. And it's very strategized. So it's not guessing work. And that's where you want to keep your focus, is not get lost in the guesswork of how to create all of this stuff. So the forum is a really great place to, once you look at something, when you're making something, your eyes get fatigued and maybe you can't really see how things are playing together. You can't see if the words are really looking great. Your eyes get tired. Mine do it as well. I have to step back from work and then go back to it. It's the same thing with writing copy for social media. I write it, I let it sit, and then I go back to it. Sometimes, I have to get stuff out quick and I don't have a choice. But always remember, to the point, less is more. Talk like you're talking to somebody and you'll be golden. So I'm going to go to the PowerPoint now, and I'm going to disappear here and just go over some of the basic just information and knowledgeable things to really think about when you're thinking about, wow, how can I progress using social media and really use it to grow a network, to leverage and create the abundance and the opportunities, and just have a good time with it and make things look good. Okay. Of course, I forgot to get on the first page. Here we go. All right. So, yes, this was my profile at one time. Actually, not too long ago, just because I've always been a Facebook person, and I started working with Instagram actually not that long ago. In February, I really started paying attention to this. Now, I'm going to talk about different social networks, but it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of different networks. So the thing to really remember is, when you're starting out, try to get used to one at a time and building that, and then moving on to the next thing. And there's questions that you can ask yourself to really figure out which is going to be the best network for me to start out. And that depends a lot on just your personal preference, and then what kind of business you have, and maybe how comfortable you are at making, graphics and taking pictures, and, what kind of phone you have, maybe, because that's what you're using to take the pictures. There is an abundance of content out there. There's so it's like, the two sides to everything. Like, as a yoga teacher, it's all about polarity. It's negative and the positive. The positive is that these social media networks are constantly growing all the time, and there's millions and millions and millions of people and billions of people in the world to reach. But that also means that there is an absolute ton of content, and you have to find a way to get noticed. You have to find a way to make it look good and make it say something real and be exciting and enjoy it. Because if you're not in that vibe and you don't have those skills, it's going to be really hard for you to actually make a dent and a difference. Now, there are people that have, like on Instagram, I know someone that has about 50,000 followers, or 70,000, I forget. He doesn't really use Instagram for business. He just happens to have that because he was on it early on, and someone regrammed one of his posts and gave him a shout out, and a bunch of people ended up following him. So He doesn't actually use it for business though. And when he posts stuff, he doesn't necessarily get a ton of engagement because the content's not very good. So don't get too intimidated when you're starting out and you're starting small, because you just want to build quality leads, quality followers. And that's the most important point of when you're starting out, is to not get too discouraged and not necessarily think, more is better, bigger is better, quantity over quality. You really want to start with good quality leads, because the whole point of using social media really is to get people to your website, get people to engage with you, and start building trust with people, because obviously you're offering something, you're selling something, you have a story to tell. So like that, it's kind of the gateway that you're using this. So yes, this is my profile. And actually I will say that it's not the Fame Compass profile, but I was on a trip in Europe and a friend of mine was just like, please post tons of pictures on your trip. So I did. And that's how I was using it. And, at that point in time, I was getting like 8 likes on a picture. Whereas now I can get 140 and, like 20, 30 comments on some of these pictures. And I also have 2 different Instagram profiles, and I have several Facebook pages, and I manage Facebook pages for people. So each one gets its own treatment because each industry is a little bit different. So if you're just using it for personal reasons, there's nothing wrong with this. It's, hey, it's great. It logs your memories. You want to look back at this stuff and know that they're there. It's awesome. But for a professional face of a company, this does not work. There's no real visual style, brand, or story. And it's not saying anything. And the copy that goes with these pictures wasn't really saying anything either. It was like, oh, hey, look, I'm in France today. And God, it's beautiful. So this is definitely not what you want to do. This is, if you're starting here and this is your personal profile, that's fine. That's great. But you want to level up. So when you have profiles that have unprofessional images and no message and no clear branding, no continuity and no regularity. So unprofessional images is pretty self-explanatory here. No message and no branding kind of go hand in hand with each other, because branding is really this container that encapsulates what you're doing. And a lot of us hear that word, and I've actually had some clients and people say to me, well, I don't like the word branding. I think it's just like salesy and stuff, but it's not. It's your number one most important first step is to create a brand story for what you're doing, because if not, you don't have a map or a compass. You don't have anything that is leading you to create continuity, to create images that look good. You don't have, it's like a business plan basically, but it's for visuals. It's for this communication, and your copy ties into that. So obviously with the Fame Compass, it's very much a nautical type of theme. It has kind of a story to it. I'm all about mermaids and the ocean and islands. I mean, I'm going back to the UK in a month for another month because I love it. And even the copy, I try not to make it too in your face cheesy, but like setting sail and anchors and ahoy mateys and swashbucklers, like peppering your copy with those kinds of things. Like, it's fun, make it fun. And I had a picture and I showed it in my branding webinar that's on the Facebook page. That's just a Facebook live stream, where it showed 2 cups, and one cup had a Starbucks logo on it. Now, no commentary on Starbucks. Just, this is a good picture of what I found. And then a cup without a Starbucks logo. And gave you a real clear picture of, this is how much the coffee is in a Starbucks cup with a Starbucks logo. And this is, the non-Starbucks cup and the price difference. So branding not only gives you peace of mind, it gives you an avenue to know what you're doing and to follow a strategy. It also allows you to convey a message in a strong way, and it makes it more valuable to people. Because we all know, companies, like wildfire, a brand can just take off. Like, people need to see the same thing over and over again, because the whole premise behind online marketing and selling things online, even not online, is about building trust. Like, people need to trust you. They need to know that you care and that you love what you do, and you're the right person for them. And you do that on a very psychological level, and there's a lot that goes into that. So then the continuity is also in the branding, because it's the same thing over and over again. Now, you can change things with themes a little bit, and for like a month you're following like kind of a certain kind of theme on maybe your Instagram, then you kind of change it up. If you're using Pinterest, you can have different type theme boards, colors. So it's kind of like a flower that has different petals, and you're coming out from the center and doing different things. But having continuity is really, really important. And regularity as well. A regularity of posting, when you're posting, how often you're posting, what you're posting. So when you don't have those things, yes, your social media, it sinks. It's not really going to get you where you want to go. You're going to be wasting your time and frustrated and pulling your hair out. And that will lead to you're not getting enough engagement. You're wasting your time. You're confusing your buyers. No leads, no brand awareness, and just total all-out frustration. I mean, the wasted time is really like the clincher, because when you're just like looking at a lot of different stuff and trying to piece things together, and you're not using a scheduler, and it's just frustrating. It is frustrating because it is so overwhelming, because there's so many different groups and there's so many different, like I said, again, just pick one social media profile and work on that. Ask yourself certain questions about, what is going to be most comfortable for you to start out, what kind of content marketing scheme maybe you have. Because one thing they do know, and they did a lot of tests with Facebook, and this is like across the board though with all the social media networks, is positive content gets shared far more than any other content. And I know that might not seem like reality in the world today when you look at your Facebook news feed and you see what goes on in the news and politics. Aside from that, it is true. And right now, the algorithms have been leveraged for more viewing for friends' posts. And that's something I should hope to talk about more. And I hope I mentioned it later. Here is the constantly changing algorithms of Instagram and Facebook. And you're always kind of on your toes with that, and have to remember that you do, and this is a little bit outside of social media, but it's connected to it. What I was saying before is, if you have a website, having some content marketing scheme, and scheme is probably not a good word, content marketing giveaway or piece, and leading people to that. And you see that with like the free videos, and exactly what I'm doing right now, because the algorithms change and you can't rely on them. So you need to make sure that you have contacts of people directly in your hands. And that is your number one goal, to always build your own list. And that's newsletters, and that's like outside of social media, but it's very important that you know that when you go into social media, because that's all you're really using social media for, is two different things. Basic brand awareness. Just, I had somebody message me about Fame Compass, and Fame Compass is a new brand for me, because I've just transitioned from doing something else and from working other companies, even though I've always been freelance. But I started this new brand that was more fun. But I had someone contact me and was like, oh my God, I see your video everywhere. Like, wow, I work in marketing. I've worked in marketing for 10 years and you're doing a fabulous job. So he recognized me. That doesn't necessarily mean, like he needs anything from me, but that says a lot. And I've actually been to 2 events where people have come up to me and been like, oh my God, I saw you on Facebook in your video. I was like, oh, wow, really? And one person actually had seen me like a bunch of times, and they were like, I keep seeing that video. So that gets in people's brains. And then, you never know. It's just like networking, except it's networking on the computer. They might see you or know someone that needs the service that you provide. So when you don't have really good, clear content and you don't have that brand, you confuse people. Like, you always want to really be straightforward with people and make things very clear. No guesswork. Really, you need to write on the level of a sixth grader. That is the level of copy, age, school range that you should be writing in. It's not poetry. People don't have time for that, and neither do you. Did I accidentally, I might have accidentally hit that twice. But if you're saying to yourself, I'm not creative, I have no time, I have no technical skills, but there's so many networks and I already have a personal profile, that's great. Personal profile is actually the best place to start. And I get that question asked to me a lot. I'm going to go kind of backwards here. Those people know you, they trust you, and they will refer you. And, a lot of my clients I've actually had for years, and they always come back to me, and they're on my personal profile. And when I post something, then they'll share it, or they'll be like, you know what, I actually need Jamie or Sadavtar, my yoga teaching music name. I actually need her help now. I'm going to talk to her, especially with Facebook now, because personal profile content is leveraged more than Facebook pages, because Facebook wants your money. They've totally changed it. They had changed it from like the big Facebook pages that have 100,000 people, whatever, sharing. They were getting a lot of, I don't know, not ad space. I'm trying to think of that phrase. They were getting a lot where you would see people in the news feeds. And then they changed the algorithms so the pages with smaller followings would get more attention. And now it's like they completely changed it so nobody sees anything unless you're paying for ads. And it's really frustrating. So your personal profile and looking at Facebook is the groups is just great leveraging. And depending on if you're a company brand or a personal brand, that's where you want to think about your personal profile. It might be too much for you to have 2 Instagram accounts. I have 2 Instagram accounts just because Fame Compass and acting for me and Sadavtar are so different, and I didn't want to put them together. But I just consulted with a client who has a personal Instagram profile, and she was like, should I create another one for the business? But I said no. And I said no because she is a personal parenting coach. And most of what she posts is with her family and her son. And I'm like, that's what people want to see in your line of business. So just just make it one and let go of the fact, up the game on it, make it more professional looking, and let go of the fact that you're not going to have this personal space, but make it your personal space. Just make it look good. And learn some skills to get it to leverage as best you can, because that's what people want. They want authenticity, and they want it's emotional. We base decisions on emotion. Like pretty much every decision we make in life is based on emotion. That's it. So don't feel too stressed. Like where you can consolidate. And realize that that's where you have so many people interested in you already, and where, if you're starting, you want to leverage the personal profile. You want to invite people to follow you on your pages. That's where you want to start. Pick that one network that you want to start with, and then start branching out once you get comfortable. I have grown my Instagram in a couple months. I don't have a ton of followers, but I have about 1,300 followers. And that's like from nothing that I've done that. So you think you don't have tech skills. Oh, you're watching this webinar and you probably found me on Facebook and signed up for a webinar. You have some tech skills. Like if you can do Facebook, you can handle it. You can do it. It is very regimented. It's not guesswork. If you can make cake or cupcakes or cookies or whatever, you can definitely do it with step-by-step instructions. The I have no time part. I schedule scheduling is your friend. I only spend a chunk of time once every 2 to 4 weeks. I schedule everything. And then every now and then when I'm doing something cool, I put it on social media. And the stories function, if you're familiar with that with Instagram and Facebook, is kind of like the great, fly by the seat of your pants, day by day kind of content that you're doing that doesn't have to really look as professional. That's kind of fun. But most of the time I just do it and I get it out of the way. And that's it. I schedule it ahead of time. I know my brand so well that I just sit down and I write and I follow that brand story and that's it. And, I have no idea how long I've been talking because my phone is inconveniently off and away from me. I need to know what time it is. I'm not creative. Everyone, again, is creative. If you know, there are actual very clear step-by-step things to do that artists do to create, fashion lines, to create beautiful graphics, to decorate houses. There are steps. They're very clear. There's clear places to get that inspiration. And you can buy stock art. And there's so much beautiful photographs and stock art that you can get. You're a creative being. There's no one on this planet that's not. If you don't think you are, there's a block there. So try and let go of that. Oh my God, I missed it again. I have to go back. Okay, so I just kind of went already over exactly what I just went over is pretty much this is what you need to relieve all those problems. Your brand strategy using a scheduler. The free apps and programs. There's no reason you cannot create beautiful looking content because there's so many free apps. A lot of the apps and programs, they have a free level and then they have a paid level. And you can actually get by with the free level really to start out. I use Photoshop and I can do more with that, obviously, but there's a lot you can do with just a couple layers, and I'll explain what layers are. Then again, knowing your brand type between personal and company and how you need to relate to your social media, because sometimes you do need a company profile. If any, you kind of need that. But if you're a coach, you need to make it personal because people value when you have gone through something. Just think about that. For me, like when I go to a healer or a yoga teacher, a musician learning, voice, because I've been taking voice lessons for years now, I want to know that they've been through things that are the expertise that I'm trying to gain. And I do that with, when I teach yoga, it's about me teaching people about voice and then also talking about autoimmune disorders, which I've had, and how have I gone from, being bedridden to being super healthy the way I am now, and, working on sets for hours and hours and how did I get here? So you want to know the difference between that. And then to see you already have followers, which is your personal profiles. It's easy. More about brand strategy as the anchor to your brand. And that's what really gives strength to your social media. It displays a professional aesthetic, and it's going to save you a lot of time because you don't have to really think too hard about where you're going to post next and how you're going to post it. And it will create people will recognize you. You'll have continuity. You'll have clear message. And that's what set you up for success. I mean, we all have memorized Nike's slogan by now, right? There's, we recognize when we think of a major company, there's certain things that come to mind. So let's implant those things instead of just doing it as guesswork. Continuity, consistency. I've already talked a lot about this. You're going to choose consistent editing techniques and filters. You're going to use those same brand colors and craft that copy so it tells that story. So you're not reinventing the wheel all the time. You want to use the same filter a lot. Like that attracts people. And each industry has its own trend. And if you look at those trends, it can help guide you in choosing what kind of content that you want to share, what kind of content in that industry, are people interested in. And again, positive content is what people share. And pain points. You're basically solving people's problems most of the time. That's all this is, and I'm sure you've heard that a million times. You're just solving people's problems. So present them with, what is their problem, and then give them the solution. As I said, use professional looking images. There's no reason to not use professional looking images. If you're taking pictures with your camera of like what I showed you in the beginning, and you're putting words over it, no. Really, I can't say it's enough. It's an okay place to start, but really up your game. And if that means you have to buy stock art until you really get the hang. There's you can get a light ring for your iPhone. There's all sorts of little cool gadgets now to take pictures. Less is more. It's all about capturing that very simple moment. There are so many beautiful things around you, and just look at the level of other people's content that you are attracted to, and go for the best and try and emulate that. And yeah, it might take a little practice, and you might need a little help. You probably will. That's why you're on this webinar. So embrace that. If you have downloaded, I just put a couple slides in here from the download from the website, the social media image compass. That just talks about the sizing and dimensions that are out there, and just some tips. So just to remember, those sizing guides and making sure pictures are the right size, because that's going to make things look unprofessional. That stuff's really important. So if you also hire a photographer. Photographers are actually not that expensive. I know we think it's like this far off thing, but you can hire a brand photographer. I hired one not too long ago. We did a great shoot for just a couple $100s, and I got a lot of pictures. And then I even did some trade with someone where I didn't pay anything, and I traded by the stock photos. You can repost, share, and regram other people's stuff. Like, that's a given. Someone has a really good picture and they have a great quote and it got lots of traction, then just share it and tag them. Like, that's another way of how you connect with people and how you also get noticed. So people will see that you have posted that and you're into that, and it creates this network. And then again, the stories aspect, not a lot of people are actually using the stories now. It's kind of it's gaining more leverage, and now in Instagram you can hashtag it. And I'm noticing when I hashtag, I get a lot of traction on that. So that's actually something to think about, because those are non-professional moments. Those are like, hey, I was here and I'm tagging this person and I was doing this with this person. So start using that, because those stories are like more intimate moments. I'm wondering what they're going to come up with next. Use a scheduler, and hopefully I'm going to have enough time to show you. I really need to check what time it is because I feel like I've been talking forever. Going to grab my phone. Hold on one second. Apologies. So the scheduler is super important. This allows you to schedule posts ahead of time. There's a lot of different schedulers, and it's going to depend on which one network that you chose, because not all of them cover Instagram and not all of them cover Pinterest. And now certain functions are not available on certain ones because of the changes in security in Facebook, where you could tag people and you could interact with people more in groups. And okay, it's 8:40. That's not bad. You can't do that anymore on the scheduler that I was using. And like one scheduler, Meet Edgar, you can rehash content. So that's kind of a cool thing, because you can just like press a button and be like, I'm going to reschedule this post that I posted a month ago. And you can't do that with all of them. That is probably the single most thing that's going to take the stress out of it. because a lot of them have a free level service. You won't get the analytics on it, but you'll at least be able to sit there for an hour and do some posts and schedule them and then walk away from it and not have to worry about it. And you will still, on some of them, be able to see, you know, who's commented on it, and you can see the streams. That will save you brain space, time. It's going to allow you to create a story easier because you can lay out, you can actually move around and lay out the pictures in Instagram on one of these schedulers. And it's the one that I use for Instagram because I'm very visual and I want to see how that magazine layout. And I did this, looked at it on the last webinar. I don't know if we're going to get time to look at it today. But that allows you to really create that cohesive magazine magazine look on Instagram, because that's what you need to be achieving. It can't, and I'll show you a picture, the one that was on the picture, the before and after. It allows you to just drag and drop, which is really great. It allows you to interact easier and see where those interactions are happening. You can get activity analytics if you pay. And then you can just manage all your profiles in one place, which is great. Someone like me, I have a ton. So that's very helpful. You know, if you only have one, then you can still use it and you can still start out as free. Maybe you don't need to pay for it yet, and you know, you want to keep your expenses down. Editing your images. So this is going to segue, and I'm going to show you, that was loud. I'm going to show you some editing techniques and terminology. There's a lot of different apps and programs that I like. Obviously, on my computer, I'm using Photoshop. That's the professional level. I love it. It works for me. You can actually pay $20 a month and get a subscription to it, and it's great. Maybe PicMonkey, that does similar things. You can achieve great results with it too. That you can do the free version, which will allow you a couple different layers, or you pay for it and you get as many layers as you want, and you can save files. Landscape is another one. Photoshop Express, which is for a phone. I do on-the-go editing on my phone. When I am scheduling ahead of time, I will use my computer. But when I'm on the go, when I want to do stuff, let's say, you know, I'm waiting somewhere and I'm at the doctor's and I've got 30 minutes. Well, I'm going to, you know, bring out my phone and make use of my 30 minutes by making a post or working on something. And that's usually when I use the phone. Visco, which is really nice. If you're making images that have kind of a photographic quality, like I don't want to say old, analog is the better term. There's, I wish I knew her name. There's this really great woman who started this Facebook page and Instagram profile. And she basically features her two daughters, and her two daughters are really young, and they're so funny. I should really, I wish I could remember it. I liked it, I followed it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But they're from Los Angeles, and then like she has the 3 or 4-year-old like just like act out these things, and it's hilarious. But she uses Visco, and you can tell, and she is using the same filter on every single photo, and you can just, it gives a certain quality to it, it gives it a certain mood, vibe, and she's using it over and over again. PhotoFox, there's, you know, retouching, there's a lot of different apps to use. Those are some of my favorite that I like to use on my phone. You can test different ones out. So now I'm going to go to, I'm just going to check here. Okay. So if you did sign up for PicMonkey, get right into that, and I should have backed out of this. Let's do something new. Don't save. No, I don't want to do that. Sorry, yes, I'm floundering. I'm floundering in the seas because I use the free version, and I want to get out of here so that you can get back. Oh, templates, here we go. Ah, didn't mean to do that. Don't say. So if you sign up for the account, or you can just watch, up to you. I mean, you can play around while we're looking at this stuff. Like Canva and PicMonkey give you templates for, your Facebook banners and sizes for Instagram posts. So it's a great resource because it already has templates built in to the service. I do know that some people have been having trouble with the Canva Facebook templates, that they're not fitting or something. And I mean, that seems strange because Facebook page layouts are really simple now. They don't have the overlay of the corner picture anymore. But for all purposes, these are absolutely great to start with and get used to this and see how they've laid things out and start understanding the use of negative space and white space, and that white space is your friend. Actually, negative space is your friend. Just looking at these different layouts and making them work for you and changing them with, like, this is really, really nice. There's really cool stuff here. Let's do Facebook. So I was looking at, and this is interesting because these are different banners that were coming up. In Facebook to find the one I was working on before. So these are like all Facebook banners in different sizes for the different Facebook images. It's really stuck on working with the one that I had, but I don't know where it went because this is a totally different order now. Let's pick anything. Let's see. Okay, let's work with this one. So this is a great place to start when you don't want to start from scratch. And if you like the layout and you think it'll work with the imagery that you have, because one thing to remember is that you want it to be clear. You want people to be able to read the text. Here, you can read the text. It's great. There's super contrast between the black and the white. Even over her leg like that, it's really, really clear. That is a super important thing to remember. Make sure that people can read your text. Typography is an art in itself. But again, if you have a brand story and you have like a particular font and you're just working with that, it's going to be easier to follow doing it over and over again. This is our background picture. So layers. Layers are common that you will, this is the basis of every single editing program. Photoshop, PicMonkey, Canva. You're going to see it on every app. It's going to have layers. Like on a lot of the apps on the phone, there's a box with like a little plus sign, and that is add another layer, add another layer. Same thing with video editing. They've really made everything simplistic and given you the most important tools like brightness, contrast, saturation. All that terminology is universal throughout every single editing program, and they're things that you want to know. There's not like so many of them that they're overwhelming. Like I pretty much only ever use brightness, contrast, saturation or desaturation, and then in Photoshop I do replace colors. So I can replace like a color blue and turn it to green or pink, and I know how to do that, and it's actually pretty straightforward. And a blur option. I pretty much use 4 or 5 editing tools I'm not even sure, but I use those few things, and that's it. And I do it over and over and over again. And it's like I can knock things out fast because I'm doing the same things over and over again. And I'm not looking at like the 40 other editing techniques that they have. Because that stuff too, that's for really heavy editors. We're not heavy editing here. We're making things very clear and crisp. So this is the universal delete layer. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to put another picture, oops, here. What did I just do? Oh, I just flattened it. No. Okay, well, I just messed this up. Sorry, guys. Well, then we'll go to adding text. So if you have a font that you're using with your brand, and you should use consistent fonts with your brand, 2, maximum 3. You can use that font on here. This is being very slow. It's not doing what I want it to do. Oh God, it's stuck. It's stuck. Oh no. It's totally not doing what I wanted. This got stuck. I'm gonna have to start this over again. Oh, did everything? Oh, okay. It's possessed. I've actually never had it get stuck before. We'll just pick another one. Okay. So usually, obviously, your background is going to be a picture. Maybe not if you're just doing a quote, you're going to have a solid color or some kind of border. Let's bring in, oh my God, I actually haven't used this in a long time, so I'm forgetting how to use it. Order of things. Another thing, just change the order. You can usually drag and drop the order too, which is great. Okay. This might be getting kind of stuck just because I have so many fonts on my computer. Aha, okay. You can also, in one of my favorite font apps called Font Candy, have your app, not your app, your font that you use for your brand and use it with Font Candy. And I have that on my iPhone. So when I'm on the go, the 2 fonts that I use primarily for Fame Compass, I have them and I can use them on any text that I'm using for making quotes or making art. And that's really, really important. You want to use the same fonts. And I actually recommend that you buy a font. You can go to one of my favorite websites, which I will show you. Editing yet. So Creative Market is one of my favorite websites. They have really beautiful fonts. Spend $5 on a font. It's really so important as part of your brand story, especially with fonts. You know, is it like a handwritten font? Like what kind of emotions is it conveying? You know, do you like it? So you want something that's got a little more unique, that's not the stock fonts that come with stuff. So I will show you this is pretty straightforward. Okay, so here's the font I use for Fame Compass. Fantastic. That was awesome. And then I also have here my other font, my secondary font, because it's good to have one that's more artsy and then one that's, you know, more clear. Aha, here's my other one. Make sure that you highlight it so it's actually going to change it. Why aren't you changing? going on? Not sure why that's not changing. Okay, oh, there we go. Go. And some of the fonts you'll be able to can fade them, change colors, blending modes. Blending modes is also a technique I use a lot. When you see a picture, let me show you. Let me show you something that you can achieve with blending modes so you know what I'm talking about. Yep, it's my crazy makeup. I made this all with stock art last week. Stock art, it's great. It cuts down time so much. So blending modes, like this was created with a blending mode. I put a video of a sun at my heart center, and I chose a blending mode that it overlaid and there were changed the whole color of the video, but you could still see the video behind it. And another really good example, how far down it is. Okay, this was also done with a blending mode. I have the picture in the background, and in the foreground, this is just done with 2 layers. I erased the night sky, not the night sky, it's more like space, from the rest of the picture and just left it in the back of my body. And then I chose a blending mode. And this is blending mode. So you can see how this changes. It'll depend on if it's a color, like it could just disappear. So it's basically a blending mode. It means you're blending those 2 layers and they're interacting in a certain way now. And this is really great for text sometimes, typography, when you want to make things kind of blend in a little bit different and not so stark. Also, when you're using 2 different layers and you want to like change colorings of things, that's blending mode, that like saturation, brightness, contrast. Blending mode's one of the other things that I do end up using a lot. But we'll leave it at normal. And I'm going to put it back to just white for now. So I'm going to change the background picture, and I just did a right click, and I'm going to change it to a background. So basically recreating a banner that I made in Photoshop, if I can find the right picture. Okay. No, I need to send it to the back, that's why. So right now it's in front. It is in front. No, but it's not switching to my other. my other stuff. Okay. That did it. Oh my God. Oh. Let's choose another layer. Sorry. Only 3 minutes left. My brain's starting to get fried. Use the layers to choose layers. In Photoshop, this is the difference with this. In Photoshop, I can have the pointer, and basically anything I touch, when I touch it, if it's on that area, it moves. So I don't necessarily have to engage with the layer panel at all, which makes things easier. So this is basic. And then what I have, let me add, what else do we have in here? I have a button. I have a picture of me, right? Yes, I do have a picture. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to show you so I can segue to that for a second? You know what? I'm going to go and just show you a scheduler because I at least showed you this much. So this is something. You can get a nice picture of a background and start working with text. You know, it would have been great to show you PNGs that have pictures that don't have a background and how I could overlay another picture here. And you could see that. But I just want to show you the back end because we're out of time. So this is one of the schedulers that I was talking about. There's a lot of different ones. And wake up. This is Hootsuite. And this particular screen that you're seeing right here, these are all the streams of the pages that I have in this account. And you can see this warning here that is talking about Facebook is changing the way that it interacts with its partners. And they've made a lot of changes, and there's unfortunately a lot of restrictions now, and you can't interact quite the same way. But you still can see the content that you have posted. You can see streams. So they're still in this phase of updating and changing these things. And then there's a publisher, composing messages, scheduling them. You have analytics tools here. I'd love to show you later, so I'm just going to show you later really quickly. Hopefully I'm signed in, because this is my favorite. I love this. Oh, but you can't disappear because I still, all right, 2 more minutes. So the thing that I like about later is that it's drag and drop. And with Instagram, oh, something's going on with my account. Please reconnect your Instagram account. Uh-oh, I don't know what's going on, so maybe I can't show you this. But you can drag and drop. And it's supposed to show you, okay, well, it's not working. And I should make this webinar longer. Okay, but that was awesome. There is just a little bit more on the PowerPoint. Let me go over to see if you guys have any questions. Does anyone have any questions? No questions, but let me wrap this up. That was a lot. Okay, so if you want to learn more about social media and really learn how to do this, because as you see, I ran out of time and I could have showed you a ton more on what to do. And I do have a lot of tips that I put out in Facebook, but there's a lot to go over here. I mean, it's not overwhelming, but I even, you know, the information I had on the last one, there was different stuff that I was doing. So if you're in the position where you really want to leverage your social media and you're feeling like you don't have the skills, and you're like, oh God, I just want someone else to do this. You're feeling this sense of awkward and you don't feel authentic when you're sharing things and you just don't know where to start. You feel like you're wasting your time and you want to get to this. I mean, this is ultimately the after right there. You can do it. It's not impossible at all. All of these photos on the right-hand side here, they're all like 2 layers. I think a couple might be 3, but most of them are just 2 layers using blending modes and text and stock art, and that's it. you can do this and you will never run out of ideas. There's no reason to run out of ideas. There's so much around you to inspire you. I teach, it's a small coaching course that I'm doing next month with a small group of people. And we basically go through a 4-step process where we create a brand story for you. And it's really fun. You make a concept board. It's kind of like a vision board. And then you use that to create content. And then you just follow that and you learn how to use analytics and how to schedule and really just how to completely take control of this and do it very concisely with no stress. And I'm going to share a link and I will send an email after, but this particular course, it's really small. I don't make it big because there's one-on-one, not one-on-one, there's group coaching live sessions and you can actually ask me questions. So I can't say enough that you could just watch a bunch of free webinars and you'll get a lot of information. But if you really are serious about just learning this stuff and doing it, and you're a coach or you have a business and you want longevity with this, you have to get some help and get some guidance at some point, because I didn't get to where I am without any help. I've been doing this for years. And I have a lot of clients who I've helped and they are happy where they are and it's helped them engaged and they feel really empowered and it's made a difference for them. So the enrollment is open. The page is up. I will send it in an email and I can include it here. I am also doing a bonus with it for a small group of people, even smaller than the small group of people. I only can do like 5, maybe 6 people. I'm going to evaluate your social media where it is right now, or I can wait until after you've done the course and you've gotten some changes and you want some feedback on it, and you will actually get real professional critique and outlines of, this is where you can change this. This is something that would work for you. Pivot this way to work better for your industry. But the course itself, I'll show you the page, but you're going to have themes, layouts, terminology booklet, videos, and then 4 actual live coaching sessions, which will probably go more than an hour like this, but you don't necessarily have to be on those live. There will be replays and you can leave questions and I will address that. But again, it starts next month. The sign up ends at the end of the month. If it fills up because of the nature of it, then it fills up. There's already some people that have signed up. It's just super helpful if you're really trying to leverage this, then I highly recommend. Why can't you see me? Can you see me? Why can't you see me? Turn the screen share out. Oh, you can see me now. Here I am. I'm going to front page. That is the link. And it's on my website, and I am going to send a follow-up. If you have any questions, let me know. Just let me know. Take a look at the page. There's a lot of information about what exactly the course goes over. It's very concise, step-by-step stuff, the stuff that I have learned over almost 20 years of doing this. So you just get to learn it, you get to do it, and you don't have to go through any mess of trying to figure out all this, and you'll get the results that you need. And the one thing to remember with social media is that, it does take time, but you do see growth. Look at my Instagram growth in just a couple months, and that's, just with that effort. This is what you need to actually use social media so you're not wasting your time. So you know where to find me. Find me in the Facebook group. You can send me an email if you like. Any questions? It's a no-risk course. If you do the coursework and you hated it or it didn't work for you, I will give you your money back. Most likely not going to happen, though, because if you do the work, you will see the results, and I will be there to support you along the way. And all you need is patience and a cheerleader. And that is me and all the other people in the group. And I love working with people and helping them do this stuff, because it really is a game changer if you can get your blocks out of the way and just have patience with it. You give yourself some time to get used to it, but you absolutely need a really solid brand story with your social media. If you don't have that, and if you don't have that first step of developing it, and that's the first step in the 4-step process, you're floundering. Like you're just wasting your time. You have to get recognizable and get skills if you want this. And if you know anyone who is interested, and they end up signing up, they do get a discount. And you get a discount. Wait, no, you get the discount. But yes, and I also make really beautiful websites. And if there's anything else you want to know, I've done branding webinars. I could get to a content marketing one, but focusing on social media for now because it really is really important. So anyway, Sat Nam, thank you so much for staying on for the whole course. And if you want to join the course and you want that bonus and that like one-on-one advice that I can give you to evaluate where you are, I can do it now before you start the course or before you really start rebranding, or we can look at it after the work that you've done with the rebranding. I can give you that evaluation. It's up to you, but I only have, it's a lot for me to do that. So this is very much a like small coaching program. And I do one-on-one sessions, and, I'm here if you ever want to book an hour or ask a question in the Facebook group. And I really appreciate you being here, and I hope it was helpful. And I do have some other tutorials on the Facebook group of looking in Photoshop and talking about terminologies. And have an awesome evening. And sana, bye.